food insecurity is a threatening factor here in Nigeria. The vice president there talked about Nigeria having multi-dimensional strategy to approach it and ensure that Nigeria doesn't fall into the trap of food insecurity. Well, who best to say this but a farmer who those who help us produce this food directly. We have Mr. Tunde Banjoko, the managing director of BO Farms Limited, and also he's the chairman Agri Group of Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Mr. Banjoko, good to have you in the studio. Good morning. So, Vice President, obviously there must be a reason why he was invited to be a part of the session that has to do with food security and all that, when food becomes security. And he did say that back home in Nigeria, multi-dimensional approach has been adopted. I wonder if this has reached your farm.
Oh, no, I won't take it personal.
Oh, yeah.
I think
you're one of the farmers, so if you don't feel it, then who will feel it?
But, you know, the statement multi-dimensional approach is true. We see the effort of the government trying to adopt different strategies through different interventions. And now one thing that is also common now in Nigeria is we see a lot of interministerial conversation to address the same thing. So, for example, the vice president last year, under his own office alone, released about 250 billion into agricultural schemes. But talking about who benefited, that's not what I'm going to talk into, but 250 billion in his office was pushed into agriculture. So that's one. Then, for example, the mass housing and farm settlement being shared now is not...
What's that?
So what they are doing is that they are trying to do farm settlements in different states of the country. So there will be mass housing, but primarily the target is for farmers. And that's being shared by the Ministry of Finance.
Has it started? Have you seen it?
Yes, they've started with Niger State, giving them 100,000 hectares for that scheme. So I think the more each state shows interest. But like I said, it's the Ministry of Finance leading that conversation, not even the Ministry of Agri.
Okay, so the Federal Ministry of Finance will release money to states that are interested.
So the conversation is it's going to be more of government, private, and states. So, but the part, I mean, the federal government's part of it is now the Ministry of Finance. That's what I'm saying, not even the Ministry of Agriculture. Not even the Ministry of
Agriculture.
Yeah, so that's part of the
Minister of Agric is your friend, though.
So that's part of the multi-dimensional approach. So everything is not just before everything comes from the Ministry of Agric. But now we see even the Ministry of Trade has been involved with agribusiness recently, unlike when everything is Ministry of Agric, Ministry of Agric, Ministry of Agric. So that's just talking about the multi-dimensional approach. So the mass housing now is that now they want to, is close to, similar to the phased, grazing reserve that we talked about the other time. So now each states will tell you, okay, this is what we are able to put down. Now, Niger State has done their part. That they have 100,000 hectares.
100,000 hectares. So sorry, I just want to understand how it works. So the state says, I'm interested, and then they give a portion of land. And then the Federal Ministry of Finance brings the money and gives to who to do what? So
now they bring part of the funds. Some private investors will also bring some funds who are interested in the project, because it's not just going to be housing for farmers. They intend to have hospitals, to have schools, and other infrastructure that makes farming exciting for people. You want to live in an environment where farmers are safe. So it's not just, one thing that also has, encouraged these insecurities, they always go to isolated places where you have just 2, 3, 4 farmers living together. But now by the time you have 500 farmers, you can provide a police station for them. You can even provide an army barrack if you need to, but there's a bit of more security, lighting and all that. So it's a tripartite arrangement.
Okay, so who coordinates it?
I think this one is being coordinated by the Minister of Finance, the minister himself.
Okay, so the minister or the ministry does not just give out the money, but they also coordinate it.
So they are coordinating
So private sector is working directly with because you have to put the state somewhere in there.
The state, so they are all stakeholders. The state is benefiting directly because their citizens are going to be the one benefiting primarily from all those infrastructures, primarily. Now, the investors are also bringing their funds to provide the comfort. The buildings will be done by private sector, I think. The hospitals, the roads, the infrastructures will have to come from the private sector. And of course, they also have to recoup their investment over a long period. And so, but the outcome of that is that there will be food production. That's where the
Because part of the 100,000 hectares will be used for farming.
No, but about 99% of course will be used for farming.
And then the other parts will be used for the housing.
Infrastructures and all that. So the end game is, at the end of the day, farmers are secured to produce.
And they live close to the farm.
No, they're not even close. They live on the farm in this case.
They live on the farm.
The outcome is we'll have mass food production coming from such projects.
So, you know the thing with Nigeria, I mean, I don't want to
be overly excited.
Yes, because we have beautiful ideas.
Very beautiful
You know,
ideas.
all of them written in papers and applauded and all of that.
But execution, I think that's what we need to, and thank you for medias like yours. We'll have to keep following up on such conversations, because if we can keep asking questions, you know, when you talk to an average person, they say, okay, ask. But who do you ask? Where do you ask? So, but if we can find medium, maybe the media, I think, have more roles to play, in my own opinion now, because they have access to all the governors. They are not the governor's house.
You would think that the media does. I've been inviting the Minister of Agriculture on this program for over a year now. I haven't seen him. But, you understand? So, I mean, sometimes when we talk about freedom of the media, freedom of information and all of that, you want to put a lot of question mark on it. I mean, in the United States, for instance, I don't think a CNN will say, oh, Minister, we heard about this project. Please come and explain to the people. And the minister will turn you down, won't even give you any response. You know, so when we talk about freedom of information around the media, honestly, sometimes it can be frustrating.
No, so that's not encouraging at all. Because I think it's a medium for people to also talk about what they are doing. So if you're actually doing something, why should you be shying away from the media?
Except you're not doing anything.
So if you have something
you don't know what
to
you
show,
want to do,
then because we see the budget, we see the activities, we see the pictures, we see all sorts. So if you're actually doing something, it's a privilege to talk about it when the media invites you.
It's free publicity.
It's free publicity. So I think we should, but one thing I'm also trying to call our attention to now is that most of us put our attention on the federal government. We should start asking questions than ever before from our state governors and the local government chairman.
True.
I think this week we saw the release of the funds being disbursed to the local government. Are we not sure that after these guys get the alert, the next thing is to change their cars, buy new houses, and you know, now everybody's been talking about autonomy for local government. Autonomy for local government. Now that they've had that autonomy, and the president has been pushing that even the governors don't respect that, it will bypass them. He said at one of the meetings they had.
Yes, he did, last year.
Yes, that he will and so we should be asking those once more now. And let's leave the ministers if they are not.
So let me also tell you one, and I'm going to call him out here. The local government chairman of Ibejuleke, I learned he's a coordinating chairman for local governments. And I met him at a Lagos State event, and I invited him on this program. And he said, oh, it's because Channels has not been trying to talk to the local government.
Okay.
And I said, okay, sir, please come on the program. And he said, yes, and he gave me his number. I've sent him messages. I've called.
Wow.
It's been about 3 weeks now. I haven't had any response.
Wow.
I have not received any call back. Maybe from his PA, if he can answer.
That's not good enough.
You know, that's a local government chairman of Ibejuleke, and these are the people we're supposed to hold accountable. How do we ask them questions?
They can't ask you questions.
When the people are out there, they're looking for answers, they expect that as a media house, you should be able to. And then you approach the individuals concerned, and they don't respond to you. I have messages on WhatsApp, on text, calls, not one response.
That's not good enough.
Up till now. So I don't know what, I mean, the level of freedom that the media has. Maybe we should take the camera to their houses.
I think probably, like we just said now, the media as an association need to find, we have the Freedom of Information Bill, which I'm not sure how free the Freedom of Information Bill is. But really, you just give an example, very valid, trying to get information. Except, and probably you should call the commissioner. I know she's very responsive. Commissioner of Agri for Lagos State.
No, she's very responsive.
She's very responsive,
yes.
and probably she might probably be able
to we're talking about looking at the different levels. Exactly.
So the local government chairman should tell us what is happening, because most local government chairman, local government in Nigeria, you go to their local government, you see abandoned tractors, even the agri desk, most times you barely see anybody. There was one in Ogun State some years back that I went to. It's one of these subsidiaries. You know, the first thing the man asked me, he said, how did you know we are here?
So it's supposed to be hidden.
It's a rundown building. But there was a project then in Ogun State that the governor was pushing then that I wanted to participate and also because I don't like just talking about, at times you appear as if you are condemning government and all that. So I always try to get the information, see, can I participate? Can people in my local government participate? Can my my people So, and the guy, the first he said, how did you know we are here? And he says, okay, he said, we are stopped. When we pick up, I'll reach out to you, of course, maybe tomorrow morning. That's almost 10 years now.
So the other thing that we hear the federal government is doing is the support from, I think we talked about this last time you were here. So while the consumers are celebrating the drop in the price of food, crops, let's not say food, because we have not seen it translate to plates of food or anything like that. But at least we know that
commodities.
Yeah. That we've seen a decline in the prices, but it seems to be to the detriment of farmers, and I think the government, federal government now.
So, like you said, the last time we were talking about price of some commodities dropping in the market, while the farmers are lamenting. So, I think the government somehow have gotten that feedback, and now last week was it last week or early this week, the Minister of Finance also now said they will look into it, because the consequence is really bad for our nation. If you discourage those producing, if they keep running at a loss and they are having sleepless nights as farmers, more people will not be encouraged. Like some of us are running different. I'm running one, for example, now. I encourage people to come into agriculture, because we can't keep relying on imported products. So, but if those that are coming in are seeing the cry of those who are in it, they'll be discouraged.
Of course.
So I think the Minister of Finance had gotten that information, and he said earlier in the week that they are going to look into it and say to the farmers. But the approach has not been shared.
But in all of this, we have a Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. And yet we're having more interventions from the Ministry of Finance. Is it all about money?
Of course. Probably I was sharing somewhere earlier this week that there's something called, in Nigeria now, you have to be careful with terms. There's approval, there's disbursement, there's this, there's that. So until the guys get the money, I think last year most of the ministry were saying they got maybe 30 or 40% of their budgets. So if you, approach a minister and say, why didn't you do this, why didn't you do that? He can conveniently tell you.
It's not been disbursed.
It's not been disbursed. So probably the Minister of Finance has a way around, since they are the coordinating, it's not just the minister, it's also the coordinating minister for the economy.
Yeah.
And they also...
But you thought that the expertise and the strategy would lie with the specific ministry.
Probably what I'm suspecting is because they probably have a way around the funding that the other ministries don't have. So probably they know how to go around it, like, for example, bringing in the private sector into some of their conversations. They probably know how to go about their conversation to get their project done and funding done. Because if you remember, one thing, we are talking about the Ministry of Finance now. If you remember during the last administration, it was the CBN.
Yes, and that caused a whole lot of...
It was the CBN doing most of what the Ministry of
Agriculture
that we were expecting the ministry to do. Yeah. So probably the CBN also knew, I can release. That's how the CBN could fund the Anchor Boil program, for example, without even routing it through the ministry. So I think the same thing is what is repeating itself, but we should be mindful of not rendering the ministry redundant while other...
All right, thank you so much for always coming through, Mr. Tunde Banjoko, the Managing Director of Bio Farms Limited and Chairman, Agri Group of Lagos State Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Yini.